Hello YouTube and welcome to RITF Gaming.
What's up guys? We're here doing, it's kind of a riff rant merged with like a console war, if you remember that old series.
Well,
series, like are we ever actually going to post the results of handhelds versus consoles versus PC?
Yeah, I think we should do that.
I don't think we ever should, because it's the ultimate ongoing debate.
It is indeed, but one of the newer debates we thought up was, Joe thought of it this morning, is which is better, the original Mortal Kombat trilogy or
MK9 and MKX.
I got it right.
It's not Mortal Kombat 2011. I know it's called that on the Wikipedias and on the official, but come on, Mortal Kombat 9 is easier to say.
It is indeed. Well,
like 10 less syllables.
Sure, it's true. It is true. So the structure of this video is we're going to have 2 minutes each for an opening sort of argument. Then we'll have 5 minutes to settle out what we've said, and then we'll just have a quick conclusion and let the fans decide which is the best. Without further ado, Joe, I believe that I am starting.
Yeah, your games came first.
Let's go.
Fight!
Mortal Kombat 1 was a huge success when it came out in the arcades. I mean, people were dropping quarters into things like it was running out of business. The graphics, yes, for the time they were good for the time. I will make that very clear. You know, with synthesized voice actors in the synthesized voices in the games, digitized, that's the word I was looking for, actors on the screen. The graphics were kind of cool, like in the backgrounds and everything. I think it was more the sort of stylization of the whole game was different to many fighting games at the time. I mean, especially when you look at Capcom and SNK, who were two huge fighting game arcade creators with SNK like Fatal Fury and the King of Fighters, or I'm not sure if that actually came out at this point. I think it might have been the year after, mightn't it? And then you had obviously Capcom Street Fighter. So stuff like that was really huge, but this changed everything. This went from being a true fighting sort of thing, to being bloody and visceral, and obviously, you know, it looks tame now, but it was kind of cool at the time. Thank you, Joe. Also, it spawned so many console sort of games that, you know, there's an ongoing battle between the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive versions of the original game. There's also Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3. I know it may not seem like the best argument, but it must be something if it's causing enough of a stir for a rating system to be put on the box of the game. It was kind of bloody as well, you know, again for the time. Let's be honest. It's fun. The controls are concise. There's so many things that you can like. The introduction music, it's got that arcade pedigree in it. You can tell with the, and I'll play the clip here, but it sounds so much better than Mortal Kombat 9s and X's. I can. It's only a slight thing. You know, obviously I sound dumb if I do it, but that game just sounds great, and it's a fantastic game. It plays so well, so fast, so violent. Finishing moves, they're not stupid. They kick ass.
Fight!
Go.
Okay, now let's think. What did Mortal Kombat 9 do? It fucking saved the franchise. Look at the games that came before it. Armageddon, Deception, Deadly Alliance, the frickin' Jack spin-off. Mortal Kombat 9 said, look, we know we fucked up, but now let's fix it. It gave us a proper story. It gave us a story we could really enjoy, of Raiden saying, oh, I see into this future where our games have gone old and boring and the story got twisted and messed up somewhere along the line. Let's try and prevent this. Let's train Liu Kang harder. Let's make sure Johnny gets to this place in time. Let's go rescue Sonya and all this kind of stuff. We got a real story in a fighting game, and it came into beautiful graphics. I mean, I know that it had switched from the character people models like in Liam's games to digitally created characters beforehand, but this time they got the graphics right. It looked good. It still kept the kind of cartoonish value, but it kept the gore and the violence where we needed it. The HD games brought in a new way to tear your opponents apart and made it look not necessarily more realistic, but it made it look more realistic in its own cartoon style. It was so badass. It added so many more features. I mean, come on, test your luck. Those are some of our favourite modes to play. Tag ladder. You and your friends can team up against each other, do 2-on-2. Things
30
like
seconds.
In Liam's games, he just has story mode. We have story mode, ladders, different characters. They frickin' have Predator in Mortal Kombat X. If you hadn't seen that yet, look that up. They teamed up, they got it. Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat 9. Guest characters, not just trapped in its own world. Done.
Sub-Zero wins. Fight!
Well, I've got to be honest, when you sort of said about the game mode thing, let's take it back a step and say that, as I've mentioned, it's got an arcade pedigree, so it's going to be a pretty simple...
Yeah, arcade pedigree, like, only worth £1, play for 10 minutes, then you just go, oh, that was fun, and you walk on to go to the bowling that you actually came for.
No, this was back in the days, Joe, in the arcade, you went to an arcade. A place, an actual arcade, and played games there. So actually, you dropped coins into the thing like there was no tomorrow. And
yeah, and then you went. Then you walked across and went and played like Need for Speed, if that was around then, or some cheap racing car game where you and your friend just sat opposite each other and punched them.
You just didn't do that. That's not a real argument, Joe.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Do you go to an arcade today and generally stick on the same game and spend like the equivalent you spend today on that one machine?
No, because they're just the coin drops. This is really the Mortal Kombat era. Don't forget, you're probably not aware of this, but you know, this is when arcades were still the place. You wanted to see good graphics, go to the arcade. You want to see revolutionary 3D games like Virtua Fighter and Virtua Racing, go to the arcade. That's what I'm saying. The arcade was the place to play games.
Really inventive titles.
As much as it was. Yeah, well, it was Sega. You know, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, Sega.
They sold themselves on 3D graphics, but we're getting away from the argument. My point is, it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, I mean, look at some of the most... I'm going to mention mobile games. I'm going to say this is a good example. The addictive nature of mobile games and the simplicity of some of the mobile games... I feel like
you've just lost your argument there.
Not really. I think that's a valid point.
So, are you saying that Mortal Kombat, the original ones, were just glorified mobile games of their time?
No,
that's pretty much what you're saying. You pay £1, you get to play like a half-baked game.
Not really, because there are similarities though. You have to admit, simple gameplay that keeps you coming back. It's true. How many people get addicted to Candy Crush? How many people used to get addicted to Mortal Kombat?
You're just going to tie my hatred of Candy Crush notifications.
I hate the Candy Crush notifications too.
I love my granddad, but like every 10 seconds, Colin has invited you to play Candy Crush. Liam has not shut up talking about the old-fashioned, outdated games.
Well, make your point.
Well, let's think of it then. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Oh, you pay for what you get. Yeah, you pay £1 for £1's worth game. You pay £50 for brand new, high-quality content filled with features that will keep you busy for years to come. The arcade, yeah, it's good. It's dying, but it's good. Yeah, let's see. Got my Xbox downstairs. Sweet, I can go play Mortal Kombat X. Not Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 9 whenever I want to. And how many times have we gone out, or you guys come here and we've said, let's play Mortal Kombat X for a couple hours?
Well, we haven't got Mortal Kombat X, but I get
Mortal Kombat 9, I
keep
saying Mortal Kombat X, sorry.
I guess, but again, it just comes back to the lack of arcade culture. In the 90s in gaming, arcade's the place to go. Another thing you say is you sort of say about the digitized graphics, and you know, you say your graphics are better, but you know, I think that's a bit of a null argument, because in 1993 people were like, shit, this is awesome!
I'm not arguing with graphics, I'm saying that Mortal Kombat X, think of the fatalities wise. What's the most famous fatality in Mortal Kombat, the original one? He just grabbed his head, pulled it off, and now like a white string of Tic Tacs is dangling below his head.
I don't think it looks good.
I'm not saying as in the graphics, as in the quality. I'm saying the graphics as in how well it's actually been designed.
You say that, but mind you...
Let's look at the characters for a second.
Yeah.
Scorpion's original design, although yes, it is classic, what is it? It's a black hoodie with like a yellow bit of cushion on the front,
which he still has today.
Let's see. No, think of his Mortal Kombat 9 design. Twin swords, skeleton style thing in the head, white glowing eyes. It wasn't just some guy in cheap cosplay. It was a fully designed, battle-ready warrior.
Wasn't in the industry at the time, and you didn't need it. The digitized characters and the blood effects sold themselves. The fatalities, I think they were actually better in Mortal Kombat. Obviously, I know I would say it was them fighting for them, but they seem, I want to say realistic because they aren't over the top and stupid. Like, he's like what you were saying earlier, where this guy punched his head off and ripped his throat out, and made him choked and pushed him over. It wasn't stupid. It was realistic. It did what it needed to do, which was in the arcade game, in your face. We don't
play Mortal Kombat for realism. Please, why the hell would
Then why are you arguing for realism in the graphics?
I'm saying we want it to look realistic and be crazy. Liu Kang turning into a dragon, that's a fatality in the old ones and the new ones. It looks so much better in the new ones.
Finish him.
Well, I think that was everything for today. Again, as we've said, comment below which you think is the best. The original series, which is me, or Mortal Kombat 9 and X, which is Joe.
And of course, leave a like and subscribe to the main
channel.
channel.
As always, there's a load of content. In the end, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah. I will quickly do the new thing I've come up with. It's going to be very difficult sitting down. But comment below, leave a like, check out our other stuff, and subscribe.
Always
See
good.
you in the next one.
Take it easy.